Good morning and welcome to the Kreston Reeves Open Morning. My name is Jo Kay and I'm the Recruitment Manager here at Kreston Reeves. Today we will hear from partners, students, and I will be talking on behalf of our Training Manager Karen. This will give you an insight into accountancy and the different service lines that we have. You will also have the opportunity to ask our partners, Training Manager, students and myself questions at the end of the webinar. Kreston Reeves is a dynamic business which started over 100 years ago. We have 8 offices across Kent, Sussex and London. In these offices we service 17 different service lines which can include corporate tax, personal tax, audit, business services and such like. These service lines focus on many different sectors, education, tech, companies, charity and the pharmaceutical, to name a few. We are a member of the Kreston International, which gives us some opportunities to work with other member firms in other different countries, and we are partner to 125 different countries. Within every office, we all work to our 5 main values. Understand. Not only do we understand each other, but also our clients. Look ahead. We work together to embrace change and to anticipate our clients' future needs. Make it personal. We take personal responsibility, tailoring our solutions and approaches to our clients. Be crystal clear. Being clear about our responsibilities, communicating clearly and in the right way. Be human, help build a positive working environment and understanding our clients. We are proud of our wellbeing programme. As a firm, we are looking to build an open, positive and appreciative working environment. This has been a catalyst of our wellbeing movement. Each of our offices has a wellbeing ambassador. They specialise in mental health awareness. They are trained and tasked with managing their office wellbeing programme. Some events that have taken place in the wellbeing programme are exercise classes, yoga and nutritional days. Our agile working arrangements bring many benefits to employees' lives across the firm. We want all our employees to be treated fairly and given the chance to participate fully within the workplace without this impacting on family commitments or their general well-being. Our Agile Working Programme relates to undertaking your work at any time from any location, such as working from the client's office, on the move or from home. We are extremely proud of the positive culture created from our flexible working environment for our employees. We have recently set up the Kreston Reeves Foundation as a registered charity. We are committed to giving back to our communities, and this foundation aims to combine the efforts from across the firm to maximise its impact. Kreston Reeves Foundation will pledge to sponsor an amount of £50 per event that is undertaken, and we also have a 1 day off a year to undertake voluntary work. Kreston Reeves is a registered employer training provider. Your studies will be fully funded by Kreston Reeves Apprenticeship Scheme. Not only will you learn business skills, but also personal skills. You will receive study leave whilst at college to enable you to be in the best place to pass exams. All expenses, including subscriptions, exams and travel, are fully funded. Nothing comes out of your salary. And most importantly, you will receive a salary increase when exams are passed. Kreston Reeves provides training over all of our offices. Some of the qualifications that we run are CFAB, ACA, ACCA, ATT and CTA. We also provide others which you could see on the screen. Alongside your professional qualifications is the personal skills I referred to earlier, the personal development training. This includes training on communication skills, decision making, problem solving, self-management, team working skills and leadership skills, all enabling you to move up within your career with Kreston Reeves. Now introducing our ACCA student, Taylor.
Hiya, my name's Taylor Moores and I'm a student here at Kreston Reeves. I am studying the ACCA programme, which here at Kreston Reeves is a 5-year course consisting of 13 exams and a written piece towards the end. In terms of how I got here, I was technically a school leaver. However, I did go to university. I went to study a completely different course and lasted at time before realising it just simply wasn't for me. So I went back, had a gap year, worked full-time in the job I used to do part-time and started here in the following September. So in terms of the work that I've done since I've been here, honestly within the first week or two was straight into client work. I was preparing accounts, I was preparing reconciliations, looking into VAT matters and all different things in terms of actual client work. I didn't have the initial communication obviously, but the work was all for clients of the firms. Since then, I am 3 years in. I've now got my own client portfolio, I have my own fee load, and I've recently got promotions. So there really is room to grow and develop while still being a student. You're not limited to that title, so that's really positive in terms of progression routes. In terms of support I've received from the firm so far in my studies has been amazing. All of my colleagues, my managers, people managers and the office partners have been incredible. So I've been really grateful for all of the help and support I've received in the last 3 years, and I'm looking forward to qualifying hopefully in the next 2. Thanks!
Now introducing our tax student, Mohammed.
Hi, I'm Mohammed. I work in the London office as a corporate tax apprentice, and my day-to-day is basically doing tax computations. So I basically work out how much tax a company's got to pay and when they got to pay it. I also send letters to HMRC, I call HMRC, and I just make sure that the client pays on time. So the qualification I'm doing right now is an ATT qualification, and that will later build up to a CTA qualification. So in all in all, it's 9 exams, mixture computer and paper exams, and hopefully it'll be done within 3 years if it all goes well. So I went to uni and I studied economics. Economics and tax are very different, and so when I came into Kreston Reeves, I had no accounting background or anything, and that was okay. So they expect you not to know anything, and they literally teach you straight away what accountancy is, what debits and credits are, and how things are and what they are. And so that was really helpful, because me coming in, I didn't know anything. Even though I had a degree in economics, I didn't know anything about tax. And so the managers were really helpful. The other graduates were really helpful as well. They were really kind, and they knew that I needed help and they helped out. And the college they provide, the teachers are very good quality. So they give you the email and number straight away. So if you need help, you can contact them. Any questions you need, you can email them and they reply to you quite quickly. And so all in all, the help they give you is really good.
Now introducing our ACA student, Nella.
Hi, my name is Nella and I started my Level 7 ACA apprenticeship with Kreston Reeves in August 2019. I work in the Canterbury office in business services. Some of you may be finishing university soon, just graduated, or also looking to start a career in accounting, having worked elsewhere. I started my ACA journey a few years after having graduated from the Open University with a finance and economics-based degree and worked in retail for a while. One of the great things about the Open University was that I was able to work and study flexibly, and I've been able to transfer elements of that into my role now, where you'll be working full-time alongside studying your exam courses and revision. With the ACA, you have 14 exams to complete and a case study at the end. The exams are split into 3 levels: certificate, professional and advanced. With the certificate level, you're expected to take the 6 exams within the first 6 months of starting at Kreston Reeves. If you have a degree in accounting, some of you may have exemptions for some of the exams, but you will still go to the courses with your student colleagues as they will be a very beneficial refresher for you. After that, you will take 2 exams at a time at 6-month intervals, which will be for 6 professional level exams, and then the final 2 exams and case study for the advanced level. Your ACA training contract is based on 3 years, which is to allow you the time to complete your exams as well as have sufficient work experience before you become a qualified ICAW chartered accountant. During my first year here, I started off with completing tax returns for a vast range of different clients: self-employed individuals, partnerships, and clients with property portfolios. With the courses running alongside your time in the office, it's really interesting to see how you can apply what you've learned to the work that you're doing. I've also been working on preparing and producing annual accounts for different companies and charities, as well as bookkeeping work, VAT returns, and other tax-related work. One of the interesting things is that we get to work with a range of different clients from different industry sectors. These include charities and academies, agriculture, and independent local businesses. The support received from the college tutors has been great. Although the courses are very, very intensive and in a short space of time, you don't feel like you are left to fend for yourself afterwards. We are able to contact them if we need any help with understanding anything, and they're always happy to explain any questions that you may have. The support received from Kreston Reeves has also been so fantastic. It is such an encouraging environment, whether you're with your student colleagues or in the office. It certainly helps to get the best out of you. Everyone is always there to help you with anything that you may need to talk through or don't understand. Overall, it has been a very positive experience and a great start to my journey with ACA and accounting career.
Our CFAB student, Dan.
Hi, I'm Dan. I'm a school leaver student and started my journey at Kreston Reeves 3 years ago. It's a strange adaptation, going from school to the workplace, simply down to things like the length of the day. However, it doesn't take you long to change routines and get used to life at work. It's exciting. You suddenly have greater independence than when you're at school, you're earning money, and it's the beginning of a new era. I decided from the very beginning that I didn't want to go to university. If you know you want an accounting qualification, then why not go straight into an apprenticeship and gain that qualification by a younger age than when you would be if you went to university, and without the student debt. You also gain so much experience and learn so much faster when you have to apply your knowledge at work every day. I enjoy the variety of my work. Not one client is the same, and working in audit gives me the opportunity to delve into how a business operates and gain a unique insight to the world of business. I love the opportunity there is to get involved at Kreston Reeves. There are multiple different initiatives, as highlighted in our latest CSR impact report, that you can get involved in. For instance, I'm a member of our CSR team, giving me the opportunity to think innovatively, do something good, and take the lead in events. CFAB is a qualification that consists of the first 6 modules of the ACA qualification, but over a slightly longer period of time. This gives you the opportunity to adapt to work life from school and really get to know your colleagues and learn on the job. It's a big step up in knowledge going from CFAB to ACA, but the support provided by Kreston Reeves made the transition feel very natural. There are a variety of ways you are supported at Kreston Reeves. There is a buddy system where, from the very beginning, you have a go-to person that's experienced everything you are going to experience and that you feel very comfortable going to with questions. Our college tuition really is first class. Our tutors make themselves available to contact at any time, so you can always ask them for help with your exams. Also, the benefit of studying at the same time as the rest of your intake is that you develop friends and can support one another. I've always found partners and managers supportive. I feel like I can talk to them about any problems I have, whether that's work, study or personal problems. To summarise, I've enjoyed my time here at Kreston Reeves and look forward to my future here after I've qualified. Kreston Reeves has really helped me to develop as a person, and I've never regretted my decision to join Kreston Reeves from school.
Now introducing our tax partner, Lawrence Parry.
Hello, I'm Lawrence Parry, one of the tax partners here at Kreston Reeves. Sorry we can't be with you today, but that's what we're working for in the new environment. So I'm talking to you about tax. Why tax? Because tax is important. This is the start of the French Revolution. This is the start of the American War of Independence. And for those of you interested in really ancient history, here's the poll tax riots from 1990. All of them started with disputes about tax. Even the opening lines of Star Wars: The Phantom Menace talks about the Galactic Federation being in turmoil, taxation of trade routes. Tax is important. Tax is where the citizen and the state interact. It's about people's place in society. Whether you have a Mars bar or an apple for lunch is broadly influenced by the tax rates. One has VAT, one doesn't. It's about what society should be. Taxation of the digital economy. Facebook, Starbucks, Amazon. All of these are driven in large, these disputes are driven in large by tax. In a nutshell, we help people. People worry about tax, and that's the same whether you're an individual or a corporate. We give them that peace of mind that their tax is dealt with professionally and accurately. We interface with HMRC so they don't have these issues. As I said, tax is where the citizen and the state interact, and we patrol that boundary. We keep them the right side of the law. We keep them safe. More importantly than just saving tax, it's about implementing clients' objectives. What do they want from life? What do they want for their family? What do they want for their business, their employees, society? We understand those objectives. It's important that we actually provide advice. We're not just filling in forms. And I know you'll have heard about the Kreston Reeves values, but this is very much about understanding, looking ahead, being human, and importantly, being crystal clear. So we do over 8,000 personal tax returns, 6,500 corporate tax returns. There are loads of specialisms that you can do. As you develop over time, you move into perhaps VAT and duty. We have a team that does that. Trust and estates, we have a team that does that. Venture capital, EIS, SEIS, raising money for business. We talk about share schemes, incentivising employees. But there is just so much more. Tax can take you wherever you want to be. It's a wide-ranging qualification. But tax is also difficult. It's intellectually stimulating. If you've done a business degree or read a bit about tax, you might think tax rates for individuals in the UK are nothing, 20%, 40%, 45%. Actually, and I'm going to have to read this now, because tax rates are actually the tax that you pay might be 0%, 7.5%, 10%, 20%, 28%, 32.5%, 38.1%, 45%. There's national insurance that kicks in and kicks out at different rates. There is different marginal rates because of the withdrawal of the personal allowances. High income child benefit. We have personal allowance, the personal savings allowance, the dividend allowance, and the marriage transferable allowance. We have 3 different rates for the personal savings allowance. The marriage transferable allowance is only available in certain circumstances. None of this is easy. If you want an easy life, don't come and do tax. So, how do we bring people in? We want you to train and qualify as tax professionals. There are a number of different routes that depend on where you want to be, what sort of tax you want to get involved with, and actually how your career progresses. Typically for personal tax, We bring people into the ATT, CTA joint program. For corporate tax, we do that as well. Sometimes we have accountants that come in and then do tax, but that does depend on the mix of colleagues, and some years that's available, some years that's not. So, in summary, tax is a fascinating part of the accounting profession. You add value from day one. I trust you found that interesting. Tax is interesting. Every day is different for me. It is great. Thank you for thinking of Kreston Reeves, and really hope to see you in the future. Best wishes.
Now introducing our outsourcing partner, Michael O'Brien.
Hello everyone, my name's Michael O'Brien and I'm Head of Accounts and Outsourcing here in London. I'm a partner at Kreston Reeves. I've been here for over 20 years now. I kind of fell into this career. I was half decent at maths at school, and I think the career advisor just kind of pushed me into the accountancy route. So I joined Kreston Reeves as a school leaver, studied AAT, and then went on to do my ACA or chartered exams. Qualified as a chartered accountant in 2004, and then became a partner here in 2008. This isn't necessarily the normal timeline. I was a very young partner at 28, and some would say too young. In hindsight, maybe they were right. However, I think that what may have made me slightly different from the norm, certainly at the time, was that I was interested in our clients and what our clients were doing, and I was inquisitive about their businesses. It's very easy in the world of accountancy to get blindsided by the numbers and just to focus on the numbers, but actually taking an interest in your clients and in their businesses and what their plans are, and asking what's going on and where they want to get to, actually will set you apart. It will mean that you can give better service and give better advice to our clients, and also probably mean that we can help them with more things to help them achieve their goals. The more we understand their businesses and their plans, and the more opportunity we then have with ourselves and the rest of our teams here at Kreston Reeves to provide them with support and advice. And if you get all those things right, then maybe you too will be able to have your 2 minutes of fame. I actually did an interview with AAT magazine 6 or 7 years ago now about my rather fast path to partnership, and that's kind of me pre-lockdown beard. They took a few photos and that was it. I think it appeared in the AAT magazine once, and hardly anyone reads that, so that was kind of okay. Then about a year later, one evening on my way home from work, I kind of received a barrage of texts from my mates saying they'd see me in the Evening Standard paper. I had no idea what was going on, no idea what I'd done wrong to appear in the Evening Standard paper, but then I got sent this picture. So unbeknownst to me, the picture that the AAT magazine had used had actually now been playing quite a big part in their national advertising and promotional campaign. So what was just in the kind of niche AAT magazine that not many people read was now being used in a national advertising campaign. Had my face emblazoned all over the press, in the back of buses and at train stations, which made my mum very proud, and also gave my mates lots to rib me about severely going forward. So anyway, coming back to what we do, certainly in my team in the accounts and outsourcing department, compliance is key for us for lots of areas of our business. Making sure that accounts are filed on time, making sure that tax is paid when it needs to get paid, making sure that VAT returns are prepared and filed on time. But really that's the kind of the bare basics of what we as an accountant should do for our clients. Making sure that they meet the deadlines the business has, otherwise obviously the authorities will issue fines and penalties, and companies and our clients will become not compliant. But that's kind of very backwards looking. And as an industry, what's a lot of us accountancy firms are now doing is, basing what our business is on looking forward for our clients. Just focusing on history, what a company did last year or last month, that isn't good enough anymore. That's just the basics, that's a given. What we actually want to do is help our clients achieve their goals in the future. What we actually want to do is help them grow their business going forward. So more and more now we are spending our time talking to our clients, understanding our clients about what their goals and aspirations are going forwards and how we can support them as a firm to achieve those goals and aspirations. So we can basically be their back office finance team. So rather than them having their own internal accounting or bookkeeping team, we can be that for them. We can be very hands-on with our clients. For some of our clients, we communicate with them daily, multiple times a day. We make sure they're compliant and all their accounting records are kept up to date, but we're also intrinsically part of their strategies and the conversations they have about their future, which right now at the moment is incredibly important because there's so much change going on generally in most sectors, but also in the economy, that actually being on top of the strategic understanding of where their business is going and being part of the conversations about where they want to go from a strategic perspective is incredibly important. And from a client perspective, we are able to provide them with an incredible amount of value to their business. We can actually do things for our clients in helping them achieve their goals that they see a significant amount of value from. Our clients really come into two strands, one being large multinational businesses. So we have created a significant focus assisting overseas companies set up in the UK. So we have clients that are maybe based overseas, who are very successful in their home markets overseas, who want to now launch in the UK. For the largest of businesses, this can be very daunting. However, we have built a lot of experience in the area and can handhold our clients through that process and ensure they get all the support they need in terms of entering the UK market. And once they're here, making sure that their operations in the UK run smoothly by being their virtual finance team here. On the other side, we also deal with lots of entrepreneurial businesses, which is another huge area of focus for us. So high growth entrepreneurial businesses who want to disrupt the markets that they are in. Again, they may not have the ability or the want to have their own in-house finance team or their own in-house finance controller or financial director. And for them, we can provide that hand-holding services to help them grow and get over the significant learning curve of setting up a new business and seeing that grow over the first few years. Providing them with oversight and support as they need to allow them to focus themselves on growing their business while we handle their back office financial needs and support them with their strategic growth as they need. When things work well, we become a true partner to our clients and they can see the value and the insight that we are providing them. So some of our clients, as I say, are multinationals and homegrown businesses, and some of those are on screen now. And in terms of then our team and how our team is structured, so it's a mix of senior and junior personnel. Generally, we recruit annually either school leavers or graduates to join our team, and then go through a process to become ultimately qualified. Generally, it's ACA or ACCA qualified, and we also have some people now going through the CIMA route as well. Generally, qualification takes 3 to 5 years, and alongside that study, you're obviously learning and developing on the job as well, and developing your experience. From our perspective, certainly with the high communication levels we have with clients, for some clients, as I say, we're communicating daily. We are almost there, an internal resource for them in terms of being their virtual finance team. Communication and emotional intelligence is key. Being able to understand what clients' goals are, being able to understand the stresses and the issues that they are going through, and being able to support them through that is incredibly important for the job that we do. Also, the job that we do in the business is also being a conduit for some of our clients into other services. So if we know that our clients are potentially looking to fundraise in the near future, we can then introduce them to our corporate finance team. Or if we know they're looking to expand internationally, we can introduce them to our international tax team. So we are almost a conduit for understanding what our clients are going through, what their needs are, and being able to support them by bringing in other specialist teams as needed. So what all I'll leave you on really is, best of luck. I hope to see you all soon. I guess from my perspective, be inquisitive, ask lots of questions, and yes, we hope to see you here soon. Thank you very much.
Now introducing our audit partner, Anne Dwyer.
Hello everyone, welcome. My name's Anne Dwyer. I am an audit partner in the London office of Kreston Reeves, where we undertake audit work, corporate assurance work and corporate finance regulatory work. And audit is a really interesting thing. Audit means a lot of things to lots of different people. It is obviously a regulatory requirement, a statutory audit. Any firm that is not small requires an audit. A lot of people will say it's an inspection of an organisation's accounts. You're looking back at the past year and checking people have got the accounts right. Some people will say it's a necessary evil and that they don't like an audit, which I can assure you is not always true. I love an audit and they can be very enjoyable and worthwhile. It can be a challenge. You have to challenge people in audit. You can't just accept what people are saying. We need to be aware that we are could find fraud. We're not looking for fraud, but more and more regulations are directing us to be aware of fraud and be on the lookout for fraud. And so you can't just accept what people are saying. And it really is an inspection of people's financial records. Auditing can be really, really fun. You get to see inside people's businesses to such a great degree that you wouldn't ordinarily see into. And you can really ask some questions that can give really interesting results and take you down all different directions. I have been an auditor for many, many years, and I've got so many stories of all the different things I've found at clients. It really is a great place to work. The thing about audit is that in London, there's a lot of London clients and we do a lot of London audits, but you can travel. I've travelled the world doing auditing in my different careers in different firms. And in London, it tends to be obviously mainly within the M25, but we have lots of different audits outside of London. And you get to stay away with friends and colleagues and, you know, get to go out for dinner and also then go and do your job the next day. It really is a very social office and it's very enjoyable to work at. So my journey to being an audit partner. So I started when I was 21. I left university. I went to Loughborough and I did mathematics. And I always wanted to be an accountant. Even from when I was 11, I wanted to be an accountant. My father wanted me to be an actuary, but I was not interested. I wanted to be an accountant. And by the time I left university, I wanted to be an auditor. That was my absolute goal, as I presume many of yours is now. And I trained a firm called BDO Stoy Hayward in Bromley. They don't have an office there anymore, but that's where I trained. And I met my absolute best friends there. You can see from my picture, this is me with the fellow trainees, all out skiing. We went on holiday together, and this is where I stayed as a manager until I moved to Kreston Reeves, which was called FW Stevens at the time, but has since merged, and we're now part of Kreston Reeves. And I've been here for 11 years now, depending on when this video is shown to you. The thing about being a trainee and about coming through the ranks and learning how to audit and learning your exams and taking your exams is that you need to support each other and you are your own team. It's really important that you are growing together, asking questions, helping each other. If you get stuck, studying together. That's just the most important thing and the thing that I've taken from my experiences as being an auditor. It's also a really good foundation. Being an audit trainee and learning how to do audit is a brilliant foundation. If you don't want to be in audit, now I can't possibly think of a reason why you wouldn't, but as a trainee, getting the audit qualification and going on gives you so many opportunities in the world of finance and is such a great start to your careers. My key piece of advice is to always remember to ask questions. Never be afraid to ask. The audit partners are friendly, everyday people, I promise you. And we are very, very happy to answer questions. Your managers are there to answer questions. Everybody is around you to ask and make you feel welcome and friendly. So please don't sit there worrying. The picture is of a parsnip. And I just wanted to demonstrate to you this picture obviously really makes me smile. It brings back very fond memories of a Christmas party when one of the trainees whose nickname was Parsnip found, God knows where, probably in the kitchen of the restaurant we were at, and I, over Christmas, looking back at photos of the Christmas party, found this on my phone. So I probably should have locked my phone, but it really did make me smile. Do not be shy to promote yourself. Speak to your colleagues, speak to people above you. this is how we progress and this is how we learn. And I learn from things people come and ask me about as well. So we welcome communication. Make sure you always remember to ask for advice and get help. So a day in my life. I was asked to tell you what a day in my life is like, and as you can see from my picture, I have a husband and two little children who are very demanding. But don't let that sort of put you off. I'm an audit partner. I sort of lead the team in London in the audit department as well for the whole firm. I'm a training partner, so if you do come to work at Kreston Reeves in London office, you will be expected to rock up to me every 6 months with all your training records all very neatly written up and ready to go, and we will have a training meeting. I am technical support, so I do a lot of technical queries, deal with a lot of the firm's EQCRs, or I write technical papers on various things that come up, which I personally think is a really enjoyable part of audit. Always new standards, always new things coming up, always something interesting to learn and find out about. I'm a people manager. So we have what we call people managers. They're just people who help look after you, do your appraisal, people you can go to. So I have a team of people who I'm the people manager for, and so I really enjoy helping them through their experience and their working life at Kreston Reeves. And then, so I'm a wife and mother. So that sort of comes at the end because there's a lot of work responsibilities. But something about Kreston Reeves that I would absolutely promote to anybody who's listening is that our work-life balance is just fantastic. If I ever have anything that I need to be at, any sports day, any award ceremony, anything, whatever it might be, dropping my car off to have it repaired, it's not a problem. We have flexible working, and it just makes my life so much easier than it could be if I had a very rigid job. I think this is such an approachable place to work, and things like that really, really make me happy. Day in my life is mainly dealing with clients, obviously, because that's how we earn our money, and providing good client service, but also developing our staff so that they can be the ones to give the good client service. And I think it's really important to have empathy to everybody's situations and make sure that our training is excellent so that we can grow as a firm together. So thank you very much. I wish you all great success in your future careers and hope to see you again. Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to our webinar. We'll now go to questions from our training manager, partners and students.
I'm going to go through the recruitment and HR tailored questions that you've come through with whilst you've watched the video. So just to start with, I'm going to go through the application process. So in terms of the application process, that is now open. We are live. You are able to apply as of today. If you apply for the location that you would like to attend, so that's Kent, Sussex or London, and you let us know what your preferred office in those regions would be as well. And you also apply for the service line, as we call it, or the department that you would be interested in, so audit, accounts and outsourcing or tax. From there, we will then look through your CV. We will go through your CV. We will look at your formatting of your CV, how you've set that out, your grammar, your spelling, your accuracy, everything that you can think of, and your exam results, just to make sure that you are you qualify for the exam results. If you're successful at the CV sifting stage, we then send out some links to some online testing. So the online testing are non-verbal and verbal reasoning and a psychometric testing. If you pass that section of the recruitment process, obviously I can't help you with those tests, you'll have to experience them yourself. If you pass that section, we will then invite you to a video interview. That is new this year due to COVID. We're going to have video interviews so we lessen the interaction with people. That video interview is set questions, so it's a pre-recorded by me I'll be asking you questions, and then you have time to then respond to my questions. And they vary from some very sort of basic household, what are your qualifications, what have you applied for, why have you applied for a Kreston Reeves, and then some more in-depth questions regarding examples and more of a competency-based sort of questions there. Once you've done that, and that we'll be assessing that that stage of the recruitment process in December. Through December to January, we'll be assessing that, and then you'll be invited along to a assessment day. Our assessment days are taking part on the 9th, 10th and 11th of February. So the 9th is our audit assessment day. The 10th is our accounts and outsourcing assessment day, and the 11th is the tax assessment day. These will take place in Ashford International. We will need you for the whole day. In the morning, the assessments are, you'll have 3 tasks to complete. You will have a group task, so we can see how you interact with others and how you work within a team. You'll have a individual task, and you'll have a presentation to complete. That presentation, you're not given any details of the presentation until the day, and you have time to prepare for the presentation and before you present back to your group and to us to assess. We will then go out in the background and look at scores, and the top scoring candidates will then stay on for the afternoon session and have their interview with senior managers and partners. And then that's a very sort of, that's more formal, more formal interview, and you'll be marked according to each question that you answer. And then you're asked to go home. We will look at the scores. We'll have a bit of a sort of debrief after all the interviews, and then the next day we will hopefully be in the position to offer you the role if you're successful. So I think by sort of the end of that week, the week commencing the 8th of February, we will be in the position to offer out all of our student positions for 2021. So all our student positions in 2021 start in August. So you'll be starting with us in August. This year, it's been a bit of a difficult year for them. They're still employed by us, our students, but they are all working from home. They are studying from home, which has been challenging at times for them because it's hard to integrate within the teams and with their buddy system, and it's not a normal student process for them. But we are trying to make that as easy as possible for them to feel part of their team and part of Kreston Reeves. So socially, privately, they meet up for social distance study breaks and things with their cohort. They're more than welcome to sort of text. They've all got a WhatsApp group set up, so they are interacting with not only their teams but their cohort of students that came in this year. So we are trying our utmost to keep that integration to Kreston Reeves as seamless and in these funny times as easy as we can, really. So just looking at the other questions that we've got, what are good A levels? So that's a good question. So hi Taylor, we'll have Taylor come in at about 11 and she'll be able to talk to you, but she's just popped up there. But good A-level results are anything from E upwards. So we don't want to miss out if you had a bit of a blip when you did your A-levels. There might have been circumstances that were out of your control, especially COVID or something like that, but personal circumstances. So if you've gone to university and you're doing an economics degree, or you're doing accounts, or you're doing music, and you're getting the first, and you're you know, on track for a first degree, and you've got 2 Ds and a C, that we will look into everybody's circumstances and their individual circumstances, really. So in terms of good A levels, to go into the course for the governing body, it has to be an E and above. So anything that is an E and above, we will consider, and obviously your degree will be taken into account as well. So other questions that we've got, so will trainees be able to work from home? So as we are at the moment, the world is as it is. It's very much a blended working pattern that we're doing. So our trainees that will come on shortly will be able to sort of talk to you a bit more about that. But I think going forward, we're going to be looking at 3 days working in the office, 2 days at home. So there's going to be that split. But you will decide that with your people managers, and how best that works with you, and how best it works for your training as well, because you might think that you need to be in the office a lot more than 3 days a week, and might be in for the 5 days just so that you can get ahead and learn all you need to learn for your exams. So that will be something that you are able to talk to your people managers and your supervisors with, if you were to start with us. And so another question, what skills do we look for in an applicant, which is another good question. So we are looking for confidence, we are looking for people skills, not just the technical. We're not looking just for somebody that's a maths wizard and you know, is really sort of a super duper maths student. We're looking for somebody that has social interaction, problem solving, logical thinking, is you know, proactive, and is able to think outside the box and look at the world slightly differently, and adapt, have good resilience, and be open to change, and how the world's going at the moment. You know, we have to be open-minded with the ability to change and adapt when needed, and quickly. So lots of skills we're looking for, and that's what we will be assessing you on at the assessment day, and actually assessing you throughout, because your testing will assess your verbal, non-verbal reasoning skills, your logical thinking. The psychometric testings will be testing your resilience, your ability to deal with change, your everything really. So your sort of drive and your ambition and your passion for accounting and or whatever subject that you'll be taking. Another one, has the recruitment process changed due to COVID? So at the moment, the video interviewing has been brought in place instead of an initial first interview or a telephone interview. We find that is better. We're still in line to do the assessment day face-to-face. We still have plans to do that at Ashford International on the days that I stated earlier. If in February that does all change, we do have the option to do all of our exercises virtually. So we can do put you into breakout rooms and working groups virtually, but our ideal would be that you were to come in, you were to meet us, you would get a sense for who we are, we get a sense for who you are. You can meet with some senior managers, meet with partners, and meet with us in HR and recruitment, and really get a feel for us face-to-face personally. So I've gone through the recruitment process, which is great. I had quite a few questions on that. So there's one that's asked, do we need a cover letter? So a cover letter is always good. I do like a cover letter, especially as we spoke about earlier. you know, if your A levels they weren't what you wanted, you can have a little bit of a explanation as to why, if there was any personal circumstances, COVID, things like that. If you didn't get exactly what you wanted, you can tell us a bit about what you're doing, if you're volunteering, if you're studying in your own time, maybe because you've not had an opportunity this year. So it is good to have a covering letter, yes. So on the website, it says that we need a 2-2 upwards. So yes, you need a 2-2 upwards if you're coming onto the graduate programme. We'll look at obviously your A levels being a good A level results. So it will be a 2-2 upwards to apply to us. What else have we had? Where can I apply? Well, that's a good one. Hopefully you've got the link from us for our Kreston Reeves career site. I can send that around to all the attendees after this session, so that's not a problem. But if you've got a pen at the moment, it's www.krestonreeves.com/careers/students. You go onto our students page, and all of our roles are outlined in our on our website, basically. So you're able to apply now. Let's have a look. Excel exposure. So somebody has asked whether through the ACA training you're exposed to Excel. So yes, you do need to looking into your Excel skills. You will use that. That is a tool for accountants. So through any of the training, you will be using Excel quite heavily. So we've had a question about the number of positions available. We're looking at, on average, we do year on year about 30 to 40 positions, and that's across the whole of the firm. So that's the 8 offices. This year we're probably looking for about 30, but that really depends on what talent and what candidates we have come through the assessment days, because obviously we're not going to let a good candidate go. So I think I'm done with the recruitment questions now. I think we should bring on our panelists now. Yeah. So I think we're just letting everybody come in, and I'll just introduce you. I know. Oh, there's Michael. He's muted. Hi, Michael. So there's Michael O'Brien. We've got Taylor Moores, who you saw on the video. Mohammed Hersey, which is great. Nella, we've got in the black square. So once she gets her camera sorted, we might be able to see Nella. Karen's going to join me next to me because we're in the office. We'll just wait for some others to come through, and then we'll get firing the questions to them. I'll start the questions now. Okay, brilliant. So if we could have some questions for Michael. Perfect. So Michael, what is the client base?
So I'm a partner in the London office. So I can talk about our client base in London. It's a good mix of owner-managed business, which is predominantly around the firm. We do a lot of owner-managed business, but also we do a lot of larger corporates. So we're part of an international network called Kreston International. And that means that we deal with lots of international businesses, so overseas companies who want to set up in the UK, but also UK companies that want to expand internationally. So we have a good mix of different types of clients that we work on, certainly on the corporate and commercial or the company side, ranging from, as I say, those kind of owner-managed businesses, entrepreneurial companies that are in a startup phase, potentially a high growth phase that we support and handhold along their growth, and also quite large, well-known brand corporate businesses that we support
throughout all of our service lines, but also assist them as well on the international front in terms of setting up in the UK or going overseas. On the personal side, our kind of target market is high net worth individuals. So our private client and financial planning teams deal with lots of high net worth individuals and help them out from growing their wealth and also then planning for retirement or exit from their businesses and the like, and trying to maintain and grow all of their wealth positions. And I guess that's kind of in terms of sectors. So London deals with a lot of technology, kind of entrepreneurial, startup, high growth businesses, a fair bit now of hospitality and leisure companies, so quite large gym businesses or businesses in the kind of the leisure and retail side of things, and also financial services and property are main sectors that we act for in terms of business.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you, Michael. This is probably across the board, really, if any of you could answer. What software do we use within the different departments?
Hi, so my name's Steve Moss. I'm a senior manager in the audit department in the London office. For creating accounts or financial statements and also for audit, we use some software called Caseware. It is bespoke accounting software, and it allows us to put in the client's figures and then make adjustments and tailor the accounts accordingly and as the client's wish. From a tax point of view, again, we use like specialised tax software called Alpha Tax, and that's for our corporate clients. And so we would then, again, input the figures into that, and then using our knowledge, it would then generate the tax returns needed for the companies which they have to pay tax on every year.
Brilliant, thank you, Steve. So one actually directed to Lawrence. What was the most intriguing tax case in your career? You're on mute, Lawrence.
Mute. So yeah. So what software do we use? Well, GoToWebinar is obviously something we need to practice.
Yeah.
Tax case. There are lots of different tax cases. Some I've been personally involved with. Some you've seen from the outside. So the UK has a really, really complex tax system, mainly because we started tax and we've been taxing people for 300 years. So there's the classic cases of is a Jaffa cake a biscuit or is it a cake? One of the more interesting ones is actually where you get your tax allowances when you build a building. And there's quite a famous case that goes back to what was the Burger King and is now the Boots on Piccadilly Circus. And it's the mezzanine floor in that what was the Burger King as whether you got tax allowances or not. So every time I drag my kids, who are now young adults, probably the ages of people on this webinar, round Piccadilly Circus, we had to go in that Burger King to point out where this mezzanine floor was. It was a laugh a minute, let me tell you, on our holidays.
Brilliant. Have we still got Lawrence there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Sorry. So one for Nella. Could you describe as an ACA student what your daily responsibilities are in the role?
Yeah, so we have a work planner where we have jobs that come in. So it'll be preparing and building accounts for different businesses and for partnerships and charities. And we will liaise with like the client team who get information from the clients, and then we start preparing the accounts for them. We also do tax returns during the year, more so leading up to the January deadline. Yeah, so a lot of the work that we do from business services is office-based, and I think the ACA students from the audit side spend more time out on client sites. So in this role, we spend a lot of time on Excel, on these different softwares, looking at Xero, doing bookkeeping work as well. Yeah.
No, that's brilliant. Thank you. So this is probably for all of our students, actually. Knowing what you know now you're a year, 2, 3 years into your training, what advice would you give yourself for starting off?
I don't mind picking that one up. Oh.
Yeah, don't want
Go on, Taylor, you go. No, okay. I would say always have an inquisitive mindset. You see some people that join and they might struggle a bit to start with because they don't necessarily ask all the questions. You do feel like a bit of a nuisance at the time, asking loads of questions to people because you just think that you should know that stuff. But there is no expectation of you when you first start to know absolutely everything. The quicker you do learn stuff, the bigger the benefit for the firm. So actually asking questions all the time does help. That would be my advice.
Brilliant. Thanks, Dan.
Just wanting to add to that as well, the support that I've received, especially from the Canterbury office, but also when speaking to colleagues from other offices as well, that I may not have spoken to before, especially working from home, not having met these people before, asking lots of questions is definitely not a bad thing. Everyone wants you to achieve the best that you can, and supporting you through that has been fantastic at Kreston Reeves, I think.
Brilliant. Thank you, Nella. One for Steve. How is Kreston Reeves reacting to the new audit compliance rules?
Oh, I get the fun question. So you may have seen in the last couple of years, audit rules and compliance change all the time, especially right now. Going concern is a hot topic, not only with COVID and companies obviously struggling for money, but in the last couple of years, with big companies like Carillion, for example, who unfortunately have gone under, and then it's being pointed at and blamed at the auditors. So we get new standards, auditing standards get released, and then we have a technical team that look into that, and then they will provide additional training for us, so that we make sure that we are then meeting those auditing requirements. There are also webinars that the Institute put on as well. So again, we can watch those and make sure that we are keeping up to date and compliant.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks, Steve. One for all the partners, I think, here. Where does KR as a business see itself in 5 years' time? Will Brexit affect this, and what's the future direction?
I'll do a first bit, and Lawrence can chip in afterwards. Where do we see ourselves in 5 years' time? It's an interesting one because we've actually just launched. So we are a service line driven business, and over the last 3 or 4 weeks, we've actually just launched to the whole firm all of our business plans for the next 5 years across those service lines. So actually, this is the first time really as a business that we have launched our business plans in such an in-depth way across all of the teams, no matter whether you're a partner or whether you're a first-year trainee. Everyone got involved and part of this service line launch, business plan launch, because actually where we see ourselves being in the next 5 years is a lot more collaborative in our approach to how we grow and develop our business. I think certainly historically, the strategy and the growth of the business was always a conversation held at partner level, or certainly senior level, and I think a lot of the rest of the teams may have felt not involved in that. And I think the only way for us to develop and grow and evolve our business is by everyone collaborating together. Where do we see ourselves? I think we see ourselves as an advisory business. So what we're trying to do is reduce the time that we all spend doing basic compliance work, trying to automate that as much as we possibly can, so allow us all to do actually the more interesting work, which is the more forward-looking, the more strategic thinking work that actually our clients really value and really want from us. So obviously there's some things that we do in terms of preparing year-end accounts or preparing year-end tax returns, which are vitally important because they're compliance driven and client needs to have those done and needs to understand where they currently are at. But actually from a client's perspective, the greater value we can provide them is helping them move forward in terms of achieving their own goals and aspirations. So in broad terms, what we're trying to do from a business perspective is be a lot more flexible. So I think we already mentioned that potentially, going forward, the working at home versus working from the office, that balance, certainly we have shifted over COVID as we had to, but I don't think that balance is ever going to come back to working 5 days in the office for the majority of people. So there's certainly going to be more agile working, whether that's working at home or working from a place outside of the office for the majority of people. But also, as I say, reducing the time spent on compliance work, reducing the cost of our compliance work, allowing us more time to do more interesting things and grow and develop quicker. Lawrence, did you want to chip in on any of that?
Two sort of points just to add to that. One, our partners' strategic plan is to be independent. We're really happy being in around 21st, 22nd, 23rd largest firm. It gives us the capacity to give pretty much full service against anything a client needs worldwide, but it doesn't have that risk, that pressure that Steve mentioned about Carillion. If you're a big four or a top 6 partner in a firm, it's not a happy place to be at the moment. Being where we are now is actually pretty much a great sweet spot for a business. The other point about what Michael was saying about advisory work, I do what I do to help people. It's intellectually challenging and it's great, but actually I have skills in tax and people have a need to have those that work with them. And you've seen the video, we talked about our values. It's all about understanding and helping people. And the ability to do that more, to spend time with clients, understand their issues, how we solve their problems. And with owner managed businesses and the client base we have, everyone is different. And there isn't a one size fits all solution to any problem they have. So over the next 5 years, all of us, Mohammed, Nella, will all be more and more involved in just talking to our clients and helping them. That's what we do, and that's how we make money.
Brilliant. Thanks, Lawrence. Just one for Taylor, actually. How did you find the process of workload up to your 3rd year? Because obviously you're a bit further along than the other students that we've got. What were you handling clients' portfolios? Sorry.
So it's very different. At the start, you're doing client-based work, but without obviously the client interaction. That comes like a little bit later down the line. But in terms of the work you do, it's for clients of the firm, clients of the office. So the people around you will have the direct communication and the link. So we'll be able to give you the client-based knowledge that you need to produce a job. Now I'm 3 years in, I do have my own portfolio, so I have my own client list that I work on day to day, and then I'm in a position to give work to others as well, so we can all work together on that. So it's not the quickest process in terms of having your own clients, because you have to build up your knowledge, you have to build up your skill, and like Joe was saying earlier, your interpersonal communication stuff is all something that needs developing. It doesn't come straight away to everyone. But within 2.5 years, I'd say onward, just starting to get emails and phone calls happening. And then, like I said, I'm 3 years in and I have my own client portfolio that I look after.
Okay, brilliant. This is to all the students. Were you or are you ever stressed because of the amount of work? And how, if you are stressed, how do you deal with that, with stressful situations?
Inevitably, you're going to have busy periods. So I would say that the August after this August just gone was probably one of the busiest periods I've ever had, being a audit senior, having a bit more responsibility this year. But people at work do help you to maintain the balance, and they don't want you working all the time. It's just making sure you know what you need to get done, trying to prioritize things effectively. Yeah, it's tough, but sometimes, but it's not like it all the time. There's just ups and downs.
Anyone else for any tips to manage the sort of study and work? Because that's obviously a big step from university or from school, isn't it?
I think that's a massive step, but I think you have to not forget that your study is obviously like alongside your work. Prioritize what you need to prioritize in the office, client works into deadlines. But there's so many people around you that if you do feel overwhelmed or stressed, just speak to people. There's 9 times out of 10, 1, 2, 3 people that can take something off you if you are struggling, and everyone does chip in and help themselves. Just the same way when you're not in your study periods, in between your exams and your next exam, tuition, you can take work off of maybe people above you, they can delegate down to you and help them just as they would help you. But there's a massive sense of community in respect to that, so there really is no need to let it take over.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. I'm going to ask some training questions now. So we've got Karen, our training manager. Someone's asked in, as a school leaver, is there an option to do AAT, or is it that we do direct ACCA or the CFAB? Is there an option for
Well, as a firm, we don't actually offer AAT as a rule, but if I'm going to be brutally honest, it's not really worth your while to do that, because the AAT qualification will take you about 2 years at least to complete. If you go, and all that will do actually will give you an exemption from the first 3 modules that you're probably likely to do in about 7 months from the day you start. So you're not actually gaining a lot as far as the qualification is concerned. And with the ACCA being a sort of 4-year course, if you're coming straight from school, you will actually gain the experience over that 4 years. So quite frankly, doing AAT probably is not really achieving very much for you, other than to give you the extra 2 years on top of what would then be probably another 3.5 years to qualify ACCA.
Brilliant. Will study days be available throughout the course?
The study allowance that you actually get for any of your training is basically all of your college courses and any of the internal training courses that the firm invite you to as part of your complete training package. You also get time off to take your examinations, but you don't get any extra study leave, no.
Perfect. And what happens if you fail an exam?
Right, okay, the one advantage of coming to Kreston Reeves is we're not a big 4 firm, so it's not one strike and you're out, which is what tends to happen elsewhere. You will have the opportunity to do 2 resits. There are opportunities to do a 3rd. Very, very rarely would that ever be the case, and very, very rarely does anybody ever get to a 2nd additional resit. So no, you would resit at the next available exam sitting, and if possible, if the courses allow, we will actually allow you to move on to the next lot of studying while you're awaiting your examination results for your resit. So you are allowed to resit. It's not one strike and you're out.
Okay, brilliant. We've had a lot of questions regarding exemptions. So if you've got exemptions through your degree or any courses, can they use those?
Yes, we do allow you to take all your exemptions, so you won't have to sit in any examinations for anything you're exempt from. But what we do is we still invite you to the tuition phase of any of the courses relevant to those subjects, just really to make sure that you're still up to date with all of your technical knowledge, because everything you learn throughout the early stages of your study and your qualification will all contribute to the final exam you take to qualify. So we want to make sure that your technical knowledge is completely up to date, because my guess is any of you, especially if you've done a degree, the chances are whatever you did in your first year at uni will be fairly vague. So we do like to make sure that all of your knowledge is current.
Okay, brilliant, thank you. Just one more, I think. Is there an assigned college that they will attend to, and will it be local?
The tuition provider that we actually use is First Intuition. Now, we run our own, for want of a better term, academy. It's not really an academy, but we run our own college, but the tutors are provided by First Intuition. What we try to do as trainees is try to keep you together as a cohort. So for ACA training, you will all be training together at one venue. For the other qualifications, they will be at a college. What we do say is if any of your travel to any of these locations to do your studying is sort of in excess, really, that we will provide overnight accommodation.
Okay, brilliant. So for graduates, we've had some questions whether they would do the ACCA or the ACA. They're a bit confused as to what options that we would give them.
Right, graduates will tend to come in and do an ACA qualification unless you're going down a tax route, and then you will come in and do the ATT CTA, followed by CTA qualification. School leavers will tend to also then come in, or will come in then and do ACCA training or CFAB training, and that will eventually give you the same qualification as a graduate coming through. So whichever one you're coming in at, whichever level you're coming in at, you will still end up with an equivalent qualification, ACA, ACCA, or likelihood is a CTA as well.
Okay, I might come back to you in a second, Karen. One for Michael. This is off the back of your video. What would be your reason why you stayed with KR other than going to a Big Four? Because you've moved yourself up to partner.
I think from my perspective, it was that continual growth. So it feels, although I've been at KR for 21 years now, I think, kind of in one guise or another, boy and man, I think it feels like I've had about 10 different jobs along that journey. So for me, it was the ability to grow and develop, but also still retain the culture and the community that I've been part of. So I think what we do particularly well is try and nurture and create an environment where people, if they push, and actually it's down to all of us, you know, no one can expect things to fall in their lap in terms of opportunities or new you know, moving teams or doing different types of work. Everyone has to take responsibility for their own career and their own development to that degree and actually ask for it and push for it. But when people ask and push, we do tend to bend over backwards and open as many doors as we possibly can for them. So from my perspective, personally, it was the ability to grow and develop and do what I wanted to do in the community and in the firm that I kind of loved and grew up with. So it feels like, well, in fairness, it feels like we've developed into a much different and larger firm than certainly I started with, which has been a great journey for me as well. So I think just being part of that and actually having that culture that KR has, which is very different from the Big Four, to be perfectly honest, and certainly in the training mode is exceptionally different from the Big Four. But also then being able to nurture and develop within that community as well, I think has been great, and something that I wouldn't have got if I'd moved firms, I'm sure.
Thanks, Michael. So everyone that works in London, I think we've probably got 4 of you working in London. What's the London office like? Can you tell us a bit about the culture? Is it lively, busy?
Steve, do you want to go first? You're the kind of social guru for London.
Yes, so I think I like to think in London we have a very good like culture. We're very well placed, and we've got loads of where our office currently is at the moment. There's loads of food places, and so people go out for lunch together. Certainly on a Friday as well. There's often a group that's going out for a drink or down the local pub. We were before COVID and everything. We were trying to do some sort of social each month. So that sometimes just involved watching a film in the office, or we'd go play netball. So somebody hosted some bingo, and we kind of rotate it around all the different tables we have. So we do try and put a lot on, and people do get on very well. And people make genuine friendships rather than just kind of work colleagues as well.
That's good. And just to follow up on that, really, for all of you, somebody's asked about firm-wide events, and especially now in COVID times. Taylor, you're very involved with the sort of social side and putting on. So I think we've had the online 11 plus recently. But could you just sort of go into what we try and do to connect people within KR?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm a CSR representative for my office in Discovery Park. So will do their own office, sort of like sports and social events, charity fundraising events and things like that, and then just like general well-being. But we try to, across the year, do some like firm-wide things. So an example that we're planning at the moment, which I won't give too much away for other people on the call, is we would normally do like a sports day, which would be firm-wide, where it's like an afternoon of games, whether they're directly sports, whether they're silly. Last year we had quite a few inflatable challenges. So this year, obviously with COVID, you can't do it. We will be hosting a virtual games day with different challenges, and people can team up from across all 8 offices and challenge one another. So lots of things like that to just bring well-being, something social for everyone to cross-link, and then a little bit of charity fundraising as well.
That's brilliant, thank you. So trainees, this was a good one for you. What's expected to you to learn within the first month of working here? I mean, what did your first month look like?
I'll go. It varies, because if you're a graduate, then when you first start, you will have more time at college than perhaps a school leaver does. When school leavers start, certainly on the CFAB qualification route that I did, you spend the first kind of 6 months not at college, just getting to know the ropes, because the likelihood is you've just come from school and you've never done anything like accountancy before, or tax, or whatever you're looking to do. Certainly in the first couple of weeks, you'll have your induction. There's an internal accountancy training session, which is quite good for the basics, so bring you up to speed a bit, so you're not going into the office environment completely blind. And then kind of just getting to know colleagues. You're expected to learn in the first month, but you aren't expected to know absolutely everything in the first month. So it's a very good culture, very good learning environment when you first start. Plenty of opportunity to bring you up to speed.
Brilliant. Does anyone else want to add to that? Tax,
I just
maybe?
wanted to add.
Oh, sorry, go on.
There's certainly a lot of introductory courses to accounting. I think we had like an internal Excel course. There was different levels depending on what you felt comfortable with. So that kind of brings you up to speed to like what you're expected to know when you're working in the office. A lot of the time we had our courses at Aspire, which is in Kings Hill, which Karen mentioned. We all go there for our training with First Intuition, but some internal courses are also held there. We had a VAT course there and other ethics courses there as well.
Brilliant, thank you. So one for Steve. What was the most interesting thing you discovered whilst doing an audit?
So, right, I'll try. So it's actually one. Well, I say interesting today. Interesting, funny. There's actually in the last year where we, as part of our audit, we select a sample of transactions and we agree those back to invoices. Now, one of the transactions we selected was £5,000 on the director's credit card, and we asked for that invoice, and he said that he couldn't find it initially, and then I had a sheepish phone call, and he basically called up and said, well, what they've been doing is doing client entertainment around Christmas and taking them out for a nice meal. They'd then gone onto the casino, spent some money there, and then had gone on further to a strip club. I was trying to work out a way of trying to dress that one up. And he's like, is that an issue for tax? I was like, well, you can't have that as an allowable deduction for tax. But so that was more, I guess, more amusing one.
That's good, thank you. Thanks. I've had a really good question actually, which Dan, as a school leaver, you'd be able to answer. Did you feel that you had a disadvantage to some of the other students that came in as a graduate?
I think to start with, certainly at the induction training, I felt like I was at a disadvantage, but you soon begin to realise actually it's an advantage coming in as a school leaver. Not only do you qualify quicker than if you went to university and then came and then did your training, it's more from the fact that you spend the first 6 months not going to college and you learn so much on the job, that I feel that it's a real benefit learning more on the job first rather than going straight to college and not having so much of an idea of what you're doing in your day-to-day work. Getting to know people as well. If you're at college all the time as a graduate, it takes you longer to get to know people in the office and that you work with, whereas I feel that in the first 6 months of not going to college, I felt like I knew people perhaps a bit better. You kind of get used to the ropes a bit better, the systems, everything. It didn't feel like a disadvantage eventually, but it did at first.
Brilliant, thanks. And to all our students, does client work take priority over your studies for your exams? What's the balance there?
I'll go on this one. I think you have to maintain a balance. Like Karen said, you do get your days to go to college, to sit your exams and whatnot, but aside from that, any additional study you don't get a day for, so it is expected that you do it in your own time. Obviously you're going to have the stresses that maybe might get a little bit on top of you when you come into work, but when you're at work, you're working and you have to just park it essentially for those 7.5, 8 hours and just focus on the job that needs to be done. And then, like I say, studying is like a byproduct in your own time. You just got to pump the time in to get yourself where you need to be on that.
I'd be interested in Mohammed's views because he's in my team. He's got exams coming up and it's a really busy time of year, so I'll be really interested to hear what Mohammed has to say.
So I think like when you're at work, you got to be focused at work. You got to know what you got to do, when you got to do it and things like that. But I think after work, you got to know that, okay, you need to revise. You got exams coming up. Like for me, I got an exam in like 2 weeks. So I booked holiday because I knew I need to revise. So that's like time off work. So now I can just focus on my exam and not have to focus on work. But I know that once I finish this exam, I have to go back to work and have to catch up on everything that I missed out on. I think it's just like booking your time off effectively. So you know when you go to work, I now got to revise.
Brilliant. Thanks, Mohammed. There's actually another question for you, Mohammed. Has your degree in economics helped you understand and pick up context around commercial awareness when you started working at Kreston Reeves?
I think it's helped in a way because you know, like the economics is about the bigger picture of things. But I think in tax, it's more about like it's hard because economics is how do I say this? So the degree in economics, the content you learn is different to what you do at work. Because the stuff you learn in economics is about like the economy and how things work and whatnot, but tax is slightly different. So it helped, but I also had to learn more at work. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. One for everybody, probably mainly Michael and Lawrence actually. With so much change and service offerings increasing, would you say accounting is becoming more advisory heavy and involves interacting more with clients, or is it still a number crunching role?
I'll go first on that. It's most definitely changing. It's changed significantly in the last 3 or 4 years, let alone the last 20 years. So I would say, coming back to the question we were asked before, the next 5 years, we are going to be doing less number crunching. Almost to a certain extent, being able to work with numbers and being mathematically minded is kind of important, but it's certainly not what's going to create a great accountant going forward in the future. Being able to talk to clients, being able to understand their needs, being able to converse with them about their business, not just about what we can do, in terms of we can do a great set of accounts, or we can do a great audit, or we can do a great tax return. that's kind of irrelevant. That's almost a given. If you're an accountant, of course you can do a set of accounts. Of course you can do a tax return. That's what you're paid to do. Where we are going to earn value and where we're going to provide value to our clients is by understanding their business. So it's by focusing on services that we do, but also focusing on the types of business that we act for. As I said, whether that's OMBs or technology companies or large international corporates, understanding their needs, being able to relate to them in terms of what their aspirations and goals and their plans are, and being able to understand then how we can support them achieving that. It's historically, accountants generally have always been backwards looking. I will do your tax return for last year, I will do your accounts for last year. That's kind of important, but whereas 10 years ago that was 90% of our job, I reckon in the next 5 years that's going to be 20% of our job. The 80% is going to be forward looking, how we can help clients achieve their goals and achieve their business plans. That's what we're going to get paid to do. How we provide our services then in terms of doing that is going to be where we can provide value. And actually that's how we're going to need to think going forward. We're going to need to think a lot more commercially about clients' businesses rather than about our own business and our own skills of preparing a good set of accounts. So all of our work going forward is going to be talking to clients in the main, understanding their needs and understanding how our skills can support them achieving their goals. Do you want to add to that anything, Lawrence?
Only a little bit. You don't need to have a maths degree. You don't even have a number-based degree, or you just need to be comfortable with numbers. And so they don't throw you when you see them. You pick up bits that look odd more than being a great sort of mathematician. But whatever bit of the business you come into, whether it's business services, whether it's auditing, whether you move to corporate finance, VAT, trusts, it's all about that conversation that Michael's talking about. Those are the skills we give. Those are the skills we're looking for. People who are interested in other people and how we solve their problems.
Hey, brilliant. A question for all of you, really, each sort of service line we've got on the call. To what extent are the three departments, audit, tax and accounts, related? Are there ever interdepartmental projects that happen? Do you work together, or are you all very siloed?
Happy to start on that. We are incredibly closely knit, certainly for some clients. Our ideal client is a client that we can provide the majority of our services to. So we certainly have clients in our outsourcing team and accounts team that also Steve and his audit team will audit, and Lawrence and his tax team will do the corporate tax on, but also do the personal tax maybe for the directors. And again, in terms of our value proposition, that's where we can really add value to our clients. It's by providing our clients with cross services, understanding their needs from a corporate and business perspective, as well as a personal perspective, and being able to bring our teams together and provide a kind of whole holistic service to those clients. So in an ideal world, and it's not always the case, some clients are purely audit, some clients are purely tax, some clients are purely accounts, but in an ideal world, and certainly when we go to market to try and win new clients, we want a type of client that we can service by 3, 4, 5 of our different service lines at any one point in time, because that's where we think we can add real value and we can really support that client in terms of achieving its goals. And actually, that's the fun bit, to be honest. Interacting with the other teams, working with the other teams on a client project, or working with other teams in terms of understanding clients' needs better. Actually, that's kind of the fun bit as well.
And this is, are we perfect? No. Do we get it right every time? No. Are there frustrations? Yes. But actually, understand, what makes our partnership work is it doesn't matter to me whether I bring in some work and it goes on my fee line. We're not the sort of firm that says is what you bill is important. It's the client service. So if Scott in Discovery Park, I have an introduction to a life science company, he is the best person to do it. I get as much credit for referring it to any of our 8 offices than doing it myself, because it's all about the collective outcome and what works for the client rather than works for me and my team personally.
And certainly going forward, we have this notion of take a buddy. So if you are talking to clients or meeting clients, actually we're trying to push more and more into all of ourselves to actually take someone from tax, or take someone from audit, or take someone from a different service line to that meeting, or to that Teams or Zoom call. Bring someone else in from across the service lines to talk to your client as well, because that just broadens the conversation automatically and actually allows a client to talk in potentially a different way than they would speak to you, and actually allows us to find out more about what they're up to and where they want to go. So yeah, this notion of cross-service line working and working more collaboratively is definitely something that we are trying to push more and more across the teams.
Brilliant, thanks Michael, thanks. So a quick question about the way that the students learn. So is learning on the job different to the things that you learn in the classroom, or are they linked? How does that work?
I'd say you learn the content in the classroom, but then you learn the application at work. So you learn why things work, so you know how they work as well in the office. So like in tax, you learn about how things are like disallowed. Then in the office, you learn how to do it in the system and why it's done.
Okay.
I think to add to that, I completely agree. It's not everything that you're going to learn in your studies is going to be applicable to your everyday job, but you can take what you learn and apply it to your job. Yeah.
No, that's fine. Brilliant, thank you. And how has the team adapted to working from home, and how has it affected taking qualifications? Like Mohammed, you've got in a couple of weeks you've got an exam coming up. I mean, not being in the office as much, has that really impacted?
Revision wise, no, because it cuts out the commute time. Because normally I would commute like an hour in the morning, an hour back, but now I have them like 2 extra hours at home to like revise. But then I think the difference with working at home is you're more independent, I would say. Like you ask for help and everything, but it's like in the office, I would just turn around to the person next to me. But now I just have to like email the person or give them a call.
No, that's good. Good. Anybody else been affected in the way that we're working now, and revision and things? We're quite a tight-knit community, aren't we? So, I mean, just because we're not sitting next to each other doesn't mean that we can't just pick up the phone. We've got all video active phones, so it's like we're sitting next to the person anyway, isn't it?
It's like Mohammed says, it's positive from the revision perspective. I think we're lucky that we can start going back to the office now, but I missed just being around people. So I'm quite a people person, but at the same time, I think we were really lucky that our IT systems were in place for us to be able to have regular like group catch-ups. So using Microsoft Teams, and we'll have regular catch-ups, and you could still talk to the team, which was really nice. But it's not quite the same, but that's just my view.
That's good.
Just to add to that, just to add to that as well, when lockdown happened, I was a little bit worried, like from the training perspective, like how it would work, how it would feel. But I found that with the IT systems in place, and also the positivity just from everyone around the office and the team wanting to help, I found that it didn't have that much of an impact working from home. I found that say I needed some training on a new program or something, we could share screen, and then colleagues would talk me through like how to do this or how to do that. So I found that really helpful, that they're still supportive in that way.
Yeah, brilliant. So
can I just come in there?
Yeah, go on.
London, our other offices, people can tend to walk, or they can get, or they can drive into the office. London office, the majority coming by public transport, and that is a concern for people in current times. But equally, we know, and it's picking up what Dan was saying, that humans are social animals. We like being with others. And actually, for a number of our colleagues who are living alone or in cramped conditions, coming into the office is really important for their well-being. So once the office reopened, we've made a real decision. Actually, costs a bit, but if people want to come in because they feel effective, it's better for them, it's better for their mental health, we want to make sure they have a space that they can do so, and that's really important to us.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. So an interesting question, actually. So upon qualification, it does say ACA, but I would say any qualification that we offer in any of the service lines. What happens then? What's the standard progression from that point? Just to answer that briefly, we don't put students on a fixed term contract, so you join us on a permanent contract, so you are still with us after your training, after qualification, if everything's going well. But in terms of progression, I'll leave that to some of the partners, or Steve.
Yeah, no, happy to pick this one up. So, yeah, like Joe says, that once you finish your training contract, you still have an employment contract, and we in our team, I think we in London anyway, we've got 9 trainees and probably 6 now qualified people before you get into the management structure as well. So we very much need and want qualified people as well, and so very much want people to stay. People that then want to stay a bit, longer and progress, will normally stay at that senior level for a couple of years before. I mean, it kind of depends on the individuals, obviously on their qualities, and also how much we kind of at that point leave it more down to the individuals to start pushing for themselves, as well as us encouraging. There's always people there to help and encourage, and then it's looking at that progression and starting to look at more, having your own portfolio of clients that you would then manage and review the work rather than doing it yourself. But that's in audit, whereas Taylor obviously talked about having a portfolio a bit earlier in accounts, as that kind of, just because of the nature of the work, that happens at different times. So it might be worth accounts and tax kind of talking about it as well.
Yeah, brilliant.
I mean, everyone is different. People progress at different rates. They get enthusiasm at different times. They find their niche at different times, and promotion prospects and development prospects are very much based on you and what your objectives are. Michael was a partner at 28, 29. We have one of our partners who was 30 when he became a partner. It really is up to you. Some people we have one colleague who was an okay auditor. He's brilliant at corporate finance. Suddenly he finds that niche and develops there afterwards. It's a whole range of what makes you tick and where you want to go. Michael said earlier, it's about you taking control of your career. And sometimes that might be outside Kreston Reeves for a couple of years. Sometimes it's going to a different team or a different office. Very much up to you.
Yeah, just to echo what Lauren said, I think certainly when I qualified, the managing partner at the time kind of was saying, it's a bit of a cliche, but everyone's on their own ladder, and some people will go up that ladder faster than others at one point in time, and then others will catch up or exceed them at another point in time. Everyone's on their own ladder. What's important is that there is a communication there, because all we want to do as a kind of the management team is to support people go up their ladders as fast as they want to at any given point in time. And if we don't know where you want to be or where you're at, we can't then open the doors for you. So I think it is about taking responsibility and communicating, whether it's for us or to your people manager or your line manager. We will open the door as best we possibly can and push as much as we possibly can in terms of supporting people. But what we need to understand is where you want to be. Like we need to understand from our client's perspective where they want to be so we can support them achieve their goals. We need to understand that exact same thing from each and every individual that qualifies, because everyone has got different timelines. Some people just want to just chill out for a year because they've been bombarded for the last 3 years with exams. The last thing I can think about right now is pushing harder and doing something different or going in a different direction. I just want to kind of focus and attain where I'm at. Others automatically either want to start another qualification, or they want to jump into a different team or start in a different practice area. All of it's possible and all of it's completely fine. We just need to have open dialogue as to how we can support you in that.
That's really good, thank you. So for everybody really, what were your motivations in entering finance and what keeps you motivated?
I can go. I would say that especially, I don't know, I haven't been to university, so you might have the same thoughts there as well, but I found myself at school not really knowing 100% hand on heart what I didn't know what I wanted to do, essentially. I knew that I was always good analytically and had that kind of skill set. And Lawrence said it earlier, you don't have to be a great mathematician, but it is more of the analytical skills. And this seemed like the most applicable thing to me. So I kind of went with it and then joined and then ended up absolutely loving it and don't want to look elsewhere. So I think you're never 100% certain, but you always know that there's a way out. Just because you start doesn't mean that you can't leave and go and do something else. If you join as a school leaver, doesn't mean you can't then decide this isn't for me, I want to go to university, and you go to university. Likewise, you might go to university and some people don't like it there and they decide that they want to leave and get a job. So you never 100% know, but sometimes you have to roll with it a bit, and this suited my skill set.
Brilliant. Anyone else? Sorry, go Taylor, sorry.
I can vouch for the going to university and hating a situation myself. Mine was a little bit of a different entrance. I have like a lot of my family, close family, are in accounts or in some way or another, and I was trying to be the bold, I don't want to follow in anyone's footsteps kind of person, because I was trying to be independent and it wasn't working. So I went to the university to study something completely different that I had a bit of a passion in, but knew I'd struggled to get a job in, didn't really know where it would take me, hated the uni experience, everything from it. Lasted 3 months, decided it wasn't for me, and then looked into what I'd been telling myself I didn't want to do because of everyone else, and realised actually, Taylor, stop being so silly, and started the following year, and similarly to Dan, best thing I ever did, and should have just listened to my mother in the first place. Can't always know, but I think trust your instincts massively.
I wanted to be an accountant since I was 14. I wanted to do tax since I was 16. This is the job that I've always wanted. So the question is, what keeps you motivated? Actually, I'm pretty good. As tax people go, I'm actually a pretty good tax advisor. It's helping clients, it solves their problems. What keeps me motivated at the moment is actually I'm a partner. I'm partly responsible for 500 people, their careers, their jobs, their employment, their future. And it's my job to try and keep that work coming in so we all have jobs going forward. And that is a motivation, as well as helping people, it's supporting your colleagues in a difficult time. And that actually is quite a big bit of what we do.
Yeah, brilliant, thank you. Just a question that's come in about international work. Would you be able to speak about how we work closely with Kreston International and the membership link there, and how that affects our audit work, tax work, or accounts work?
For sure, I can pick that up. So actually, Lawrence and I I was looking at my photos, Lawrence. It was literally this time last year.
Yep.
We were in New York visiting clients, having the time of our lives. But yes, so Lawrence
Working
and I
hard. Yes,
working
working
hard.
hard.
Working hard. So we're members of Kreston International, and that is one of the largest international networks in the accountancy profession. We are relatively senior members of that. We have Andrew Griggs, our senior partners on the board, and we get a lot of international work through that network. So what that network is effectively lots of firms like ourselves around the world. So we're in over 100 countries, 200 odd different offices around the world, thousands of people like ourselves around the world that we can look and use to support our clients. The biggest thing around that network, though, is relationships. So the fact that we know we have someone in New York at a firm there that we can refer work to, and they know us, is hugely important because our clients are important to us. So we need to build relationships with all these member firms and specific individuals in those firms. So Lawrence and I have, over the years, been kind of the US or the North American focus around the network. So a number of us partners and senior people have focus areas. So we will have a Asia focus, we have a European focus, and we have a US focus. Lawrence and I are in the US focus team. So at least once a year, we have gone to the US for various conferences or just various trips to see clients, which has been fun, but also to win new work. So when we're out in the US, half of our meetings will be with our current clients, and probably half will be with prospective clients who are looking to come to the UK. And we do really invest time, money and energy into this international relationship. And also outside of the network, building international relationships with law firms and banks and other potential intermediaries that can again refer clients to us, but also we can then refer clients to them. So from an international perspective, whereas I guess 10 years ago, international was kind of a niche thing. Actually, trading internationally now or being internationally is kind of the norm, even for OMBs or small businesses selling stuff overseas or potentially expanding overseas is actually the norm. Whereas it was seen over the years as being, quite scary. Barriers are being broken down, and actually trading internationally has become a lot easier, certainly with web trading and the like. But so lots of our business are doing it, and yeah, so again, that covers across our service lines. So our corporate finance team will have lots of Asian investors, for example, who want to invest in UK businesses, and they support them. Our accounts and audit teams will have lots of overseas companies who might have UK subsidiaries or UK elements to their business, which they need accounts and audits being prepared on. And obviously, Lawrence can talk about from a tax perspective, but that has a wealth of different international aspects and needs that crop up. Lawrence, anything else?
Yeah, so for one practical example at the moment, if you want to know about Trump and Biden's different tax policies, our US firm have put an article out that we're linking to advise our clients on that. It's a really important part of what we do. There was one this week with a tripartite issue with personal tax for the UK, US, and Ethiopia. Really interesting and relatively complex stuff.
And actually, just to come back to that, so I think for the last 3 or 4 years, our firm, Kreston Reeves, have been the largest giver into the network of international work, and we've also been the largest receiver from the network of international work. So I think international, from our perspective, international business is probably 20% of the work we do. We get international referrals. We get at least 4 or 5 a week of international focused referral work. So it's a massive part of what we do. And undoubtedly, if you join our business, you will be touched by international work no matter what service line you sit in.
I just wanted to add there that we've been asked about what the opportunities are for the staff internationally as well. So Lawrence, you might want to butt in as well, because I know you've hosted a few secondees, but we do offer, once fully qualified, a secondment program. Normally our guys go to Australia, but we have got I think 125 different offices around the world within the membership, which we can try to arrange a secondment for X amount of months for you to go to. So there is that option, working together with people managers and partners, if you wanted to go out to another country to do a secondment and then come back to us. And there is also the option, and you will see if you do get a role, that we have people coming over from different countries to us in our different offices as well.
We have one guy at the moment is from the Melbourne firm, Jack, turned up here. One of our audit corporate finance guys, Will, they went to school together. They went to school in Melbourne, and they are now working together in the same office in London. It's
small world. Very small. So I am conscious that we're running out of time. We do want to get this sort of wrapped up by 12 o'clock. So I just wanted to kind of leave it on a question for all, really, just to describe Kreston Reeves, describe the culture. Why should these students that have been listening today join us?
I can start. So obviously you've heard Michael talking about how much the partners want to help people, and sometimes hearing it from someone high up, you might think, oh, they're just trying to sell us something. I love Kreston Reeves, and I think it's exactly right that if you show a commitment and you show that you are willing to learn and you are willing to progress, and you show they will take the time to listen to you, to try and open up doors and to try and help you progress. I haven't regretted my decision joining as a school leaver or picking this firm over other firms. It's just been brilliant. So I love the culture. I love the team I work with. I think while I don't talk to most of these people on the chat a lot of the time, I feel comfortable going into whatever office they're in or answering a phone call and just talking to them, because you know that the likelihood is the person on the other end of the phone is a really decent person. Yeah, I love it. I'd advise you to join.
I think I can add a little bit as well, aside from like internal social side, like a touch onto the work we do with like CSR, charities and things like that. Wellbeing is massive as well. So it's nice to have a firm that isn't so concentrated on just business, just the finances, just the profits that it's going to make. Like they do actually care about the staff that are involved. At the end of the day, wouldn't be a partnership if you didn't have any of us. So it really is key that well-being, staff happiness, and then also how we can impact and help the wider community is like a great aspect of the firm as well, I think.
That's good.
Yeah, I'd certainly echo that. I think, especially in the last couple of years, there's been a couple of staff surveys, and from that, a lot of things have happened, and trying to become very much, a firm for 2020. As Taylor talked about, not only the CSR programs, but having wellbeing ambassadors in each office, and having wellbeing training about mental health or stress, have been a bit more agile. Obviously, that's been forced with COVID, but before then, people have been far more agile as well, and trying to move into a more modern way of working as well. So I think the fact that they had these surveys, they listened, very much trying to become a firm for now, and they've committed to becoming like carbon neutral in the following year as well. So they're very much aware of like the social impacts and what's going on, and then bringing that into the workplace as well.
I think that the work is always good, but work's work. But I think the people make it like a good place to work. Like everyone's just friendly and nice and happy. I think the other day, me and Lawrence had a conversation about the Arsenal game, about the Arsenal place, stuff like that. It's like a friendly place to work.
Imagine that wasn't a good conversation talking about Arsenal.
That is a practical issue in our London office. We have a disproportionately large number of Arsenal fans. Every time there seems to be another Arsenal fan coming in.
Brilliant. Anybody else want to add to that, or?
Just bouncing off what Steve and Taylor have touched on with the CSR stuff, I think the firm's made such a big commitment recently to trying to improve our kind of CSR program and how we touch on everyone inside our firm, our clients and our local communities. So if you haven't seen it already, we have a CSR impact report, which we've never done before. You can find it on the website, but it is built around United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and they're trying to hold themselves accountable to those goals and trying to show that they want to be a more sustainable and be a friendly firm and set the example of what businesses should be in the future. Going carbon neutral is no small thing. There's money involved. There's, you know, it's just doing the right thing that they want to try to do. So.
No, that's great. Thank you. So yeah, I just want to thank all the panelists that we've had today and thank you for all attending. If you haven't had any of your questions answered, I will be going through the transcript after the webinar and getting back to you via email. So don't worry, I'll try and go through them all. But we have had quite a few questions and I hope we've answered as many as we can for you, and we look forward to your applications. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Good luck.
Good
Thank
luck.
you.
Cheers.
Bye.